The following video is not affiliated with any support groups, religions, treatment centers, or institutions. This is an editorial and is not medical advice. Enjoy. Okay, addiction recovery, 1 minute to talk about spiritual care. So let's get going and start the timer right now. So spiritual care is a broad term. There are spiritual care practitioners, chaplains who work in institutions, or people that work for religious organizations or independents as well. There's also indigenous spiritual care providers. But these are folks that are either priests, shaman, other types of things that practice religious rites, ceremonies, and walk people through their spiritual path. So what does this mean for someone who's in recovery? Well, you might be in a treatment center and you meet a chaplain. Well, you can ask them questions about spirituality that you're curious about. You might be someone that is going to indigenous ceremonies, and you can also take that elder and get knowledge from them as well and practice spiritual rites with them as well. Bottom line, they're people that you should trust because they are professionals that are going to be guiding you through your process. Okay, now it's time for me to grade and evaluate what I just said. And I want to start off by saying I think I got off a little bit on a tangent. I was just sort of weaving in and out of different types of spiritual care practitioners, and I didn't really talk too much about what a addict should do in early recovery when they're thinking about spiritual care and maybe receiving some spiritual care from one individual who's a professional. So I think that you need to look at how to vet a spiritual care practitioner. And part of that is traditional credentials. So, you could look at someone as a possibility. You could look at someone that has a master's degree. You could look at someone who has a bachelor's degree as well, even. Someone who has some training. That would be important. And look into that if it is legitimate as well. But also there's another side of this too, because not every spiritual care practitioner is going to have credentials. Like some people get certified, like a Reiki healing and spiritual care provider. They might get certified by a body, but then there's other folks out there that just have experience, right? And have non-traditional ways, and they are just as legitimate as others, right? So indigenous healers, or there's folks that may have years and years and years of experience as Wiccan healers and individuals like that. There might be lay leaders, lay spiritual care providers within church bodies or other religious organizations. So I want you to uncover the motive of a spiritual care provider. That's a really important part. Are they there for your best interests in recovery? Some of them might ask for money as professionals. You might have a professional relationship with a reasonable amount of money that you pay for a counseling session if they're in that line of work as a spiritual care provider. Some might do that for free, but then beware of folks that are doing this for exorbitant amounts of money, for large amounts of money. And beware of people that are asking for all of your money and to move in with them. I would say, changing your whole life to just devote it to something, some cult-like, solution to your addiction might not be the best thing. In my experience, it wasn't good for me. I never had experience with cults, but I didn't choose that path. But I would have never really, just completely moved out of my house and given one spiritual care provider control of all of my money. I think that is a huge, huge pitfall for many folks. So I want to talk about what would it be like for an addict in early recovery receiving spiritual care? Well, I would say that it's important as a spiritual care provider myself to, provide options for someone, to provide them a confidential space where they can receive forgiveness and they can say absolutely everything in complete confidence, knowing that if they aren't harming themselves or another person, or, if a child isn't in direct harm, those are the only reasons why I would have to disclose what they were saying to me as a spiritual care provider. So you could completely get everything off of your chest that was bothering you, and it would stay in that room with me. And that's a really important part of the relationship a spiritual care practitioner would have with a recovering addict, because addicts come into recovery and they have a lot of stuff that they want to get off their chest. Now, how have I benefited from a spiritual care provider? And just the same way, I came into recovery. I had a lot of guilt and shame, and I unloaded it with a spiritual care provider, a chaplain, and they really guided me in that way. So I think that is very, very valuable. Some things to think about. So now it's time to give myself a grade. Well, I think that I had a decent, answer in my 1 minute inquiry there. However, I think that I was a tad bit meandering there. So what I'm going to give myself is I'm going to give myself a hula hoop. I think it's fun to play with, but it kind of runs out. The interest in hula hooping kind of can wean after a few minutes. So give myself that hula hoop, and I'm going to also give myself a nice big glass of Gatorade, which has its purpose, but isn't kind of a wonderful drink to have. It's not something you'd ever seek out. Gatorade has its purpose, and a hula hoop also, interesting enough for a little period of time. But again, I could have been more succinct in my answer, and I think I could have just focused more on what is it like for an addict coming into recovery and finding a spiritual care provider. So I hope this is helpful for you today, my video. And if you enjoyed it or have more questions, or you question anything I say, write a question in the comments. I might answer it in a coming video. I really hope you enjoyed it. And, I will see you again soon, because there will be more videos. So have a wonderful day until I see you next. There's plenty more videos for you to watch linked right here.